Today we're going to be taking a look at the Backbone mobile gaming controller, and specifically if you have an iPhone 15 series device. So this is the USB-C variant, and we're going to see how well it works with the new iPhones that just came out. Taking a closer look at the Backbone mobile gaming controller, you will see that we have Nintendo Joy-Con style joysticks. Now this is going to be a love or hate thing depending on you and your personal preference. I didn't have any issues using them overall. Moving on to the D-pad, it does feel good, and I do like how it is concave here in the middle. The buttons here at the bottom are flat, and I also really like that because you're not going to inadvertently take a screenshot or switch to the Backbone app or hit the menu button. Your A, B, X, Y buttons are very clicky and they feel very good and tactile. Moving on to the center, you will see that we have a fixed USB Type-C port. This controller will accommodate different size devices by extending it like this. And then taking a look at the top are L1, L2, R1, R2 buttons. I did feel that the buttons between R1 and R2 and L1 and L2 were too close together, and I did feel that they were very mushy. Now moving on to the bottom, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack and a USB Type-C port that does offer pass-through charging. And then on the back, it's just a flat, kind of matte finish, and it's very smooth with no texture or gripping whatsoever. We do have analog triggers here, but I did find that the actuation doesn't occur until they're about 50% depressed. And then I did notice that on our R1, L1 buttons, actuation occurs really well from the side, but not very well from the top. One of my biggest complaints with this controller is the fact that my camera lens on my iPhone 15 Pro Max is touching the back of the controller. Now, I don't want my camera lens to get scratched or scuffed or anything else to happen to that, because to me the phone is obviously more important than the game controller, especially in terms of cost. But as you can see, any way we look at this, the camera is clearly touching. There's no light coming through on that middle lens at all. And Backbone has released a statement stating that they've resolved this issue, but I did check and I do have the latest version of the gaming controller, and clearly it is still an issue. Now, it is a very sturdy controller and it feels very solid. My phone doesn't feel like it's going to pop out at all. But one thing that I did notice is I feel like the grips here are just way too short. There's nowhere to put these bottom two fingers, and it just feels really uncomfortable the way I need to grip it in order to get my thumbs on the joysticks properly. Taking a closer look at the Backbone iOS app, you will see we have some chat functions built in, and then if we take a look at the settings, we'll walk through some of the stuff here. But what I really don't like about this app is the majority of the things that are built into the app are actually not free. So Backbone requires you to get a Backbone Plus membership in order to unlock or enhance your user experience, as they say, within the application. So for free, you are allowed to use the controller with any compatible game. The app in itself is not required. The app will allow you to update your firmware on your game controller for free. You can remap your buttons and calibrate your joysticks. It will allow you to take screenshots, and that's really about it. They have a news feed that's free, but anything else that's built into this, so the unified game hub and launcher, that's not free. Being able to use the controller as an external controller that's tethered to your device that you see here on the screen, that's also not free. Any of the chat functions I previously mentioned are not free. You can't add friends, you can't do like a party chat or anything like that. And so I just don't feel like you're getting a lot of value out of what you're paying for with this application as a consumer. And so it's not something that I would necessarily recommend. They do give you a free 1-year subscription to the Backbone Plus membership when you purchase the controller brand new, but it is not something that I will personally be renewing when the subscription is up. Now we will walk through, I'll show you the unified game hub here. You can launch games and connect your Xbox account, your Steam account, Twitch account, and it is actually really nice to have everything located within one centralized app, and you can use the orange Backbone button that's built into the controller to quickly navigate back to the app and switch between different games. And it doesn't matter whether you're playing the game, it's an iOS-based game, an Apple Arcade game, an Xbox Cloud Gaming, it doesn't matter. It's all built in here, and you're able to just seamlessly switch between any of the games. And that function does work really well, but again, it is not something that is free. So now let's take a look at some gameplay, and I'm going to use this unified game hub to show you that we can launch the games and switch between them so that you can see what that would look like if you were to choose to pay for the subscription. First game we're going to take a look at is Call of Duty Mobile, and you'll see that we don't have any issues launching this from the Backbone iOS application. And then as far as gameplay goes, you don't have to map the controller, it just works right out of the box. One thing to note note though is I mentioned this earlier in the video, I really just don't like how close the L1 and R1 bumpers are to the actual triggers. The actuation for the bumpers is actually closer to the side, which makes it uncomfortable to use in my opinion. Now to get back to the Backbone mobile application, all we need to do is press the orange button here on the controller and then press B to back out of the game that we were just in. And then from there we can go ahead and select any game of our choosing. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys an Apple Arcade game, and specifically it's going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we will see that that game also launches just fine, just like Call of Duty Mobile did. And what's interesting about this is with previous game controllers, they mimic either an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller, so you would see in Apple Arcade games that if it was mimicking a PlayStation controller, even if the button layout was that of an Xbox controller, it would show the PlayStation controller layout here within the game. And for the Backbone gaming controller, we don't have that in Ninja Turtles, and we don't have that here in our Horizon racing game. We do have analog triggers on the Backbone gaming controller, so it does work very well for racing games. Functionally, I didn't have any issues with the controller working with Apple Arcade games. And now we're going to take a look at some cloud-based services, with the first one being Amazon Luna, and specifically we're going to take a look at Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, I didn't have any issues with Amazon Luna recognizing the Backbone controller. With some previous controllers that I've tested specifically through the company GameSir, there was kind of an order of operations you had to do in order to get the controller to work with some of these services. But with the Backbone controller, we didn't have to do anything. I just opened up Amazon Luna, launched the game, the controller was recognized right away. I didn't have to do anything crazy to make this work. I didn't experience any input lag personally, but that's going to be based on your personal internet connection because this is a cloud-based service. And moving over to the Xbox Cloud Gaming service, you will see here that we're going to launch Mortal Kombat 11. Functionally, I didn't have any issues getting this set up with the Xbox Cloud Gaming service. Similarly to the Amazon Luna, it worked right out of the box. I didn't experience any kind of input lag because that's going to be based on your personal internet connection, but overall this controller worked great across the board on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I do wish Backbone would allow more of the features of the application to be used by people who don't pay for the subscription, but overall I think this is a really solid controller. I really hope this video helped you decide whether or not you wanted to purchase the Backbone mobile gaming controller for your iPhone 15 series device. Now, I do think that this is a solid controller. There were a couple of nuances that we covered in the video that I didn't really like. A couple of the biggest ones were just adding some texture gripping to the back of the controller and maybe making the handles just slightly longer to accommodate people with bigger hands. Overall, it is a good controller and it does work really well with iOS. Backbone did a great job of taking their Android controller, updating the iOS application to allow that seamless integration, and I don't think anybody that purchases this controller is going to have a bad experience, so long as you don't have an issue with some of the things that we pointed out in this video. Now, if you have any questions about this controller, please hit me up down in the comments and let me know, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But that's all I have for this one. So, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.